Good morning. We are Elena Lozano and Maria Martinez Lirola, and we are going to present the following paper: Sustainable and Inclusive Language Education in Later Life, Multimodal Resources, Emotion, Focused Pedagogy, and Consciousness-Raising Grammar for Elderly Learners. We would like to thank the organizers of this wonderful conference for accepting us and giving us the opportunity of presenting here. This is the index of our presentation. We will start with a brief introduction, some basic aspects about the literature review, the methodology, then of course we will finish with the results and the conclusions, and the list of references used in this presentation will also be offered. As an introduction, we would like to say that generally speaking, we observe a lack of confidence and emotional insecurity whenever we teach English, and this can hinder language learning even when lessons are well designed. In this sense, using consciousness-raising grammar often fails to sustain engagement or develop communicative competence. Moreover, I think that using multimodal resources support language learning and enhance emotional involvement because students feel motivated when we use different multimodal texts such as films, text from advertisements, documentaries, and so on and so forth. And finally, we would like to highlight that the increasing elderly population highlights the need for inclusive, engaging, and cognitively supportive language learning approaches. When we teach elderly population, it's very important that we use resources and methodologies that help them to be very active in the teaching learning process. The main objective of this paper is the following: to investigate how the integration of consciousness-raising grammar-based activities, multimodal resources, and an emotional-focused language learning environment influences language development, emotional involvement, and self-efficacy among elderly learners. Regarding the research question, it is the following one: how does the integration of consciousness-raising grammar-based activities, multimodal resources, and an emotional-based language learning environment affect language development, emotional involvement, and self-efficacy in elderly learners? The main theoretical frameworks used in this study are the following. Of course, we have paid attention to the importance of elderly language learning in an effective ways, because the fact that despite age-related cognitive decline, elder learners can acquire languages effectively by using neuroplasticity and life experiences. This is very important. Regarding consciousness-raising grammar, since this is an explicit grammar instruction, this can aid older learners who face cognitive challenges, enhancing metalinguistic awareness and accuracy. Of course, the fact that we use multimodal resources involves that we combine visual, auditory, gestural modes of communication, and this can contribute to help our students, in this case elderly learners, to reflect on natural communication processes, which is very important at that age and at any other age. And finally, consider emotional factors in education is crucial because positive emotions like enjoyment and self-efficacy increase motivation while managing anxiety, which is vital for sustaining language learning in older adults.
In this case, action research was used to conduct a study, and during 3 cycles, 3 didactic units were planned, implemented, observed, and evaluated. The participants were a group of Spanish speakers, most of them between 70 and 80 years old, with a A2 B1 proficient level of English, and the instrument used were a reflective journal, which served to register observation and patterns of interaction during the lesson's implementation, and an emotional survey and 3 different grammar texts, which were administered at the end of each cycle. To summarize their overall result, it was necessary to consider the information collected from the different instruments used during the process. For instance, the reflective journal revealed that some students were initially anxious, insecure, and hesitant to participate in speaking activities. And as the study progressed, this emotion decreased. And by the end of the course, the student became more collaborative and self-assured in their language skills. The emotion surveys also demonstrate a positive trend in the students' emotion, especially confidence, motivation, and engagement during the process. The grammar test results also demonstrate that combining different teaching methods and resources can enhance the effectiveness of conscious reasoning grammar for elderly learners. To conclude, it's essential to consider the positive outcomes, the limitation, and recommendation for future studies. The study in general highlighted positive achievements such as higher motivation and engagement, improved communication skills, and strong social bonds, as well as a reduction in anxiety and insecurity among the participants. The limitations include bias related to the research method, the sample size, the population diversity, and the duration of the implementation. This suggests that for future studies, it would be beneficial to extend the study duration, involve a more varied and larger group, and to have a group of control to make comparisons among methodologies. And finally, this is the bibliography we used to support our study. And that's all for today. Thanks so much for your attention.